I don't know if any of you know this story. It's a really ancient story from an ancient play. And the play is called The Birds by Aristofanis. And the way it goes is, there are like a couple of poets, and they're walking along down the road, and they're leaving Athens, and they're like griping about this and that, and they're talking about how fake everybody is, and they've kind of had it with the city, really. They're just kind of like it's just such a scene, they say. Like people are such imposters and like social climbers and on like that. And they're trudging along, and one of the poets sees a bird, and suddenly he has this idea. And he says, okay, I've really got a great idea. And it's about birds. And he says, we've got to get all the birds together to explain his idea. And so, the word gets out, and the birds start arriving from everywhere. And sparrows, dodo birds, robins, skylarks, bald eagles, pigeons, swallows, white-breasted woodpeckers, tons of wrens, pelicans, cuckoos, on and on, snowfinches. Did I say penguins? Penguins. And it was really a mess. And the poet got up on a platform and he said, birds, all you birds. And he could hardly make himself heard, but he kept yelling, listen, attention, I have this idea, so just quiet. And after a while, things kind of calmed down enough for him to say, okay. So I have this idea, and the birds are really like scattered. They're like, what? They can't concentrate for too long. And the poet said, listen, this is the idea. It's an opportunity for all you birds. It's a financial opportunity. And they're talking to each other like, wow, what is opportunity? And anyway, he says, listen, the world is divided into two parts. There's up there, and there's down here. And they're like, what? What does he mean? I don't know. And here's how it works. He says, when the gods come down on earth disguised as bulls or swans, whatever, and they swoop down to grab up a boy or a girl, and take them off. And when they do this, when they come down to earth, they come through where? Your territory. And the birds are like looking really confused now. You're like, what? What are we doing? And he says, and when they come down through your territory, do you charge them anything for this? No. They come, they go for free. They come through your border free of charge. And on the other hand, the humans are praying to the gods, and they build these big pyres, and they burn all these animals, and smoke comes up from the pyres, rises up through. Again, I ask you, where? Through your territory. And again, do you charge them anything for this at all? No, you do not. Now that's my point here. There's a business opportunity for you birds. A business opportunity that you've been missing. Now, most of the birds are not really following this argument. They don't know a lot of the words the poet's using. So they get the general idea that something's being pitched to them. They get that. So there's a kind of excitement building about, and they don't know what. And then the poet says, so when you, listen, you birds, here's what you have to do. You have to build a wall, a border between up there and down here. And whenever anyone crosses the border, you charge them, right? And this creates quite a stir because the birds are like, what? Like build a wall? What do you mean? That sounds like it sounds like a big project. That sounds like a lot of, work. And we're like, we're like birds, like we don't work. We've probably heard the words, freeze a bird, that kind of thing, But this idea is really catching on now. Even though they don't really understand how that actually works. And in the play, they really actually do build this big wall. Now here's the thing. I can't tell you the end of the play because it's really complicated. And you just have to read it for yourself. But I can say it was complicated in the way that the wall between Israel and Palestine is complicated. It was complicated the way the wall between Mexico and the United States is complicated. It's complicated, the way the Great Wall of China is complicated, the way, like all walls, are complicated.